What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdumb podcast, the podcast where three dumb nerds talk about all things in the Nerdumb universe. I'm the Saint Satsumi.
I'm Sean.
And Joshua's not here. But today we have a special episode. We have a guest who actually I wrote an intro for. So I'm going to read that from my phone. And I'm going to turn this off. Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest is a close family friend and a medical professional. Who recently went to Saudi Arabia for Hajj, a Muslim pilgrimage. Every Muslim hopes to do at least once in their life. We're going to be talking about him taking this trip and his life as a Muslim in the modern day. Please give a warm welcome to our friend and a medical professional, pretty much a doctor, Dr. Seth. Yay!
Not a doctor, but thank you for the
went to medical school and doctor.
not quite medical school, but let's
Works in a clinic, is Dr. Seth.
My mum will enjoy that intro. She really will. So, mum, if you're watching, yes, I'm a doctor. I told you.
Doctor, yeah.
Same.
Well, if you work in a
Yeah, if
doctor's office, you're a doctor.
you really should have stopped at the intro. Yeah, that's all right. No, it's good to be here.
Welcome, my
have this
friend.
chat. Yeah.
We've been actually not putting it off, but we've been meaning to do this for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested to hear about your trip.
Yeah, no, it's one of those interesting trips, I guess. It's you always hear about kind of growing up, but you don't really necessarily know what to expect. It's especially after COVID. So like for the last couple of years, no one could perform the pilgrimage, which is like unprecedented in kind of the history of Islam, or pretty much. So I think for a lot of people this year, they were really keen to go. Purely because I think COVID showed us that a lot can really happen. Humans develop, we get smarter, technology gets better, but at the end of the day, Mother Nature, God, Allah.
Do we get smarter?
I don't know. That's a very good
I
question.
feel like we've peaked.
You think so?
I don't think we peaked. I think we're actually on the decline.
Yeah.
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 I think we passed the
I think that's
I
the
mean.
definition of a peak.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You get to the peak and then you go
I
down.
feel like we've
No,
peaked.
but I feel like we're like midway decline. Like we've already passed the peak, and this is like post peak.
Like, see, so this is the thing, right, with fucking social media and everything. Like, it's not necessarily fair to say that we've peaked, because there's always like advancements in science and technology. It's just that the idiots have a platform to be louder. They're just louder. They're everywhere.
Yeah, because like, I guess like if you're talking about like overall, like, maybe like society wise, not everyone's is like, is like a genius, but like there's people that are like still like way smarter than people were 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know about like saying like we're on a downwards, maybe like civilization is.
It's just, that's what's shown. That's what we're able to see. Because fucking people are idiots.
Yeah, but I feel like almost like society, like I feel like it's human nature. We struggle with moderation, either one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
So like I think at the moment right now, emotion takes over maybe more than fact or objectivity, right? And so it's constantly spinning those plates and trying to make sure they're both spinning equally, and kind of finding that equilibrium. I think in society is always tricky. But yeah, no, for sure.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
We
Just how we normally get here.
Yeah, we digress.
So how did you decide to go on the trip? Because there's a lot of people that like can't afford to go and do it, right? So there's obviously like organizations and stuff that help people like do it. Yeah. Is that something that like, is that like a kind of way that you went through it, or like how did you decide to do it, and then like how did you get to do it?
So that's a great question, because this year has actually been the first time it's been very different. So traditionally speaking, pre-COVID, you have your local kind of like almost like tourist groups, so there'll be like a travel guide who also tends to be someone with a pretty decent amount of religious knowledge, and they kind of organize groups to go out and perform Hajj. Now, Saudi Arabia will limit the number of visas per country, and that's based off a percentage of the Muslim population. So then it's kind of like to scale, I guess, the number of visas. And so there's multiple factors. The first factor obviously being cost. The second factor also being selected, so being able to get the visa. Like for example, like my background's Egyptian. I have lots of family members that have been applying to go to Hajj for over 10 years and still haven't gone. Some people will, try for their whole lifetime and still not go. So I guess coming from a country where you know, it's such a difficulty to go. You kind of go, oh, whatever chance I can get, I'll go. And truth be told as well, like my sister played a big role in that. So she was really keen to go. And I thought, well, I've got the means. I'm very fortunate to have the means. And, you know, if I apply and I get in, what's my reason not to, you know? Especially because it's one of the pillars of Islam. So like in Islam, we have 5 pillars, right? First one is the Shahada, which is essentially believing in the oneness of Allah or the oneness of God, and that there is no rival equal, and that his last prophet was the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And he came after Jesus, peace be upon him as well, just for kind of a time frame relativity for those listening in. But the other 4, you got fasting, if you've heard of the month of Ramadan. The other one is charity. And when we say charity, we don't necessarily mean specifically to the mosque or to like an Islamic body. It's actually charity to where you feel that person is in need. So it's kind of like sharing the blessing in which God or Allah has blessed upon you. So that's prayer. And then we've got Hajj. Did I count? Is that all 5? No, I'm missing one.
I think you are, but I wasn't counting.
That is
also
5. Yeah, so we got and your 5 daily prayers, just real quick. So every day, kind of spaced out somewhat evenly throughout the day. We have our 5 daily prayers just to reconnect with God throughout the day. Can't remember what's important. And then, Hajj is one of them. So essentially kind of think of it like if a Muslim has a bucket list or a requirement or a prerequisite that they need to kind of fulfill, those are kind of the key things you want to touch on, right? So obviously with the first 4, you can kind of do, there's no real excuse for it. And then obviously with Hajj, it's really one of those things where if you've got the capacity to do it, you really should be doing it, right? And if you don't have the capacity, well then, you know, and you've got your intentions to go, well then it's as if you've done it, right? And that's, I guess, one of the
you're not going to be judged for it.
Exactly. That's the beauty of Islam. It's very easy. It's very common sense based. You know, like if you can do it, great. And if you can't, well then, you know, you can't. It is what it is. That's your path that Allah's, you know, put in place for you. So.
I love how you said that it's like the religion is very like based in common sense. Because a lot of modern medicine and stuff came from like Muslim scholars and stuff.
100%. Like the cool thing about like Islam is that it doesn't preach you to just believe what's in the Quran and the Hadith and just leave it at that. You know, it's very much like you've been provided a brain. You know, utilize it, capitalize it. You know, you're allowed to enjoy the bounties of this life, but don't forget the importance and kind of the ultimate goal of, you know, pleasing your creator as well as obviously making it to Jannah or paradise, right? So it's, again, just like we were actually talking about before, it's like finding that equal balance, right? Where you don't sway too heavily on one side that you neglect your life, but also that you don't neglect your life for the other, right? So it's finding that, you know, healthy equilibrium, but obviously the main focus always being your faith. Because if you follow your faith, the rest will follow through. It's just essentially that's the foundation of how you should practice your life. And of course, you know, none of us are perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. And you just got to aim to get as close to as what you can achieve.
No, that's cool, man. I really, really enjoy reading up on and hearing about like Islam and all of I guess like you guys' teachings and stuff, because like me and Sean, like our family, we grew up Mormon, LDS, and I feel like those 2 religions are like very like close, like very close together, like almost like one and the same. Difference being with your guys' religion, I see from a lot of Muslim people that they really strive to be educated and they don't dismiss like science or like those sort of worldly teachings, and like it's being able to still believe in your faith but also believe these like things which have proven to be true.
Yeah.
Which a lot of other religions sort of just like go like, no, but that's not. That's the devil. It's like the easiest cop out is say like, oh, all that stuff we don't understand, that's the devil trying to trick you.
Yeah, and I think, not to sound too preachy, but I think at the end of the day, like the only way to feel more steadfast in whatever faith it is, whether it be Islam, Christianity, Mormonism, whatever, Jehovah's Witness, is to test it, really.
Yeah.
You know, like the reality is if your religion comes from the Almighty Creator, it should be perfect, right? There should be no flaws. There should be no holes in the story.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're worried about testing it, that in itself kind of would worry me. Because at the end of the day, if I'm living my life by some ideology or faith, right, you want to be, you know, convinced, like, because it takes a big part of what you do, who you are, and how you conduct yourself, you know. So, no, for sure. And I think the really cool thing about this particular trip in general is that it kind of, you know, living in Australia where religion isn't really a big part of the culture, it kind of allowed me to experience kind of something that is hard to describe. You know, when you have, you know, this year was very limited in the amount of people that could go, so it was limited to 1 million people. I believe
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I believe only 890,000 attended.
Wow.
So pre-COVID, 3 to 4 million, right? So for me, I was very fortunate that it was. No, you're right. So it was pretty much one of those situations where I thought it was busy.
Yeah.
But I was talking to locals and like, man, it's like a barren, like it's barren, like it's empty. They're like, the fact that you can walk up and get like drink from the tap of water.
Yeah.
Is like it unheard of. Like you normally line up to get water. You know, like where you literally can just casually just stroll up, get your Zamzam water, and I'll explain what Zamzam water is later on in the podcast. But yeah, and you just have a drink, and you know it's pretty chill.
That's so crazy.
Yeah,
because I was watching your snaps and your Instagram stories rather, and it was crazy like how many people that were like actually there. Like I was thinking, oh, that is so like, and I was thinking maybe because COVID happened, everyone was like so keen to get in, but to them that was like not even like at capacity. They're well over that like half the time. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like most of those people are in the one venue, so it's not even like a million people migrating to a country. Well, they technically are, but they're quite literally in the same like suburb almost, you know, an equivalent. So just to try to fathom that number of people and like, you know, especially pre-COVID, 3 to 4 million, like that's the population of Brisbane. So like imagine if everyone in Brisbane was like, hey guys, let's meet up here for this party, you know, not comparing Hajj to party by no means, but like it's hard to fathom, you know what I mean? Like
for sure.
It's
because even that many people in one spot, like just circling like around Mecca, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, there's so many people.
Yeah.
Like it seems like almost like a health hazard. Like it would be like, oh man, like you could get trampled in there.
100%. And like like it's definitely a thing. But like with Hajj, right? Like the beauty of Hajj is that when you enter the boundaries of what's called the miqat, right? You enter a state of what's called ihram, right? And the cool thing about the state of ihram is that essentially there are a set of rules, you know. And one of the key rules that we have is you're not meant to engage in any quarrels, conflict. You're not meant to get angry. You're not meant to essentially, as simple as ripping a leaf off a tree. Do you know what I mean? So you need to try to kind of attain the most peaceful version of yourself, the most respectful, the most patient. Yeah. You know, and not only is that important for, you know, yourself, but it's also kind of good, especially in this case when it's so busy, right? So when people go, oh, how was it? It must have been crazy. It's like, yeah, it was like chaotically peaceful. 900,000 people in you know, in a mosque. You know, you are going to think we're going to shove, argue, this, that. No, it just, everyone's there for a clear purpose. Like, no one goes to Hajj and go, oh, yeah, I was just driving down the road and I just took the eggs on the highway. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, people go from all over the globe. Like, I met people from Africa, bro. They walked from Africa to Saudi Arabia. Can you imagine that?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so
this is an actual pilgrimage,
like literally,
pilgrimage.
And that's how important it is. You know? Like I'm so privileged. I literally sit in a plane that's aircon, get fed, all these things. These people literally walked. Like, and they got there, and they like some of them may have accommodation, others don't, right? Yeah. But the beauty is that with, you know, their increased level of struggle is their reward, right? You know, that's the beauty of Islam, is like your level of effort is rewarded accordingly, right? It doesn't take away from your achievement, but it's like we are not the same, you know. So and that's also one of the other cool things that, you know, it's very much intention driven. You know, like it doesn't necessarily mean like you can act a certain way, but if your intention's to show off and like pretend like you're religious, but not really religious, then it's not the same as someone who's genuinely going out of their way to be kind for the sake of Allah, right? And I think that's really important, because it almost kind of goes, if you're a faker, we're not interested in you. You know what I mean? And like if you think you can fool your creator, well, then mate, think again. Yeah. Right. So it's it just keeps you in check, right?
It's so amazing that people could walk that far, with like a clear purpose too. It's like, well, we're going because this is something that we believe is right. And so, how do you even get like over the border?
That's true.
Through walking. How's that? Like, is there an entry point? Do you just walk in? Like,
That's so true.
I wonder, like, if there's like a clear, like.
But I guess when you think about it, like countries' borders, they don't have a wall across.
No,
the
that's
border,
what I mean. Like,
So,
how do you check how these people got in here? Like, if they just walk over. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I never even thought to ask that. There you go. The thing is,
I was thinking, like, practically, I'm like, how do you get in there? Like, do you just walk straight through and it's all good?
I would imagine so. Like
really, I would imagine it like a border, like in Australia, right? Like, you just walk over.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't mean anything to us. Like, they border the states, but they're not like, you don't need a passport to get in. And
and to be honest as well, like that region, like it's the Middle East / Africa.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of sand, man. Like you don't have to, if you bypass the road, no, and that like it's amazing, and I think that's almost part of the beauty of Hajj, right? Is like not only like the unity of everyone going there for like a common purpose, but it's like you meet people from like Africa. I met people from France, Pakistan, the UK, the States, obviously other cities in Australia, and it's like what led them there. Each person's different.
Yeah.
Like one person might be like, yeah, like my brother passed away, and it reminded me like how short life is, and how I've been ignoring these things. And others are like, I had a dream. Like it's so variable, right? And then obviously you meet people who have reverted to Islam, and they're like, this is it was the only way to really leap into the faith, to really get an understanding. Like I guess when you're going to a place where everyone's trying to be the best version of themselves, I guess you get as close to what Islam really is, right? And in today's society, especially when we talk about like the perception of Islam, people have this habit of looking at the Muslim and saying this is Islam. It's no, they're different.
Yeah.
Just like how culture and religion aren't the same, the individual and the actual religion are also not the same. We strive to get as close, but again, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Your mum raised you to tell you not to steal, but we still have robbers in society.
Yeah.
So there are all these things that,
should be taken into account.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I guess also in today's day and age, we just kind of like to make assumptions. It's easier,
Easier to villainize like a whole group of people as opposed to like just looking at the individual for the individual's act.
Well, not even necessarily villainize, but I guess you just look at an individual and you make your own assumptions and go, oh, well, this is what they're like, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be good or bad is a different story, but depending on what you see, that's what you perceive, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's quite a really refreshing journey, when you're going to a place that's full of spiritual energy.
Yeah, like, for sure.
You hear the call to pray. I don't know if you've ever heard it before, the adhan, and it's like literally its loudspeakers rings through the whole city, and people literally shut shop. People stop what they're doing and they make their way to the mosque. They recognize the importance of worship. Like at the end of the day, taking 5 minutes out of your day to kind of recognize your blessings and just be thankful, or even just have a dialogue with your creator. Just touch base.
That's so cool. This camera's about to stop. Oh, there it has. Sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't want to cut you off. I really am really interested.
I'm glad that I paused right as it
we're going to take a quick break to reset, and we will be right back in a minute with more stories from Saudi Arabia. Da-da-da-da-da. That's not ours. Welcome back. I don't remember where we actually left off, to be honest.
Perception of how easily you can perceive people just purely off.
You are really good at this.
Oh, thank you. Hostile takeover. Hi guys, welcome to another podcast.
Wait, who are you taking over?
What do you mean?
Just Joshua, or like this whole thing?
Oh, bro, I took over Joshua in the first 5 seconds. He's lightweight.
Oh, Joshua's gonna come for you.
Oh, bro, he needs.
He's also not lightweight.
Jeez.
No, this is a heavy set podcast, bro. It's all good.
Oh, okay.
We all heavy. How was it, man? Like how was it being there? And I guess you've kind of already answered that. I guess what I'm more asking is like, what do you do there? Like it's to us, like we go somewhere. Like say I go to Japan. I go to Japan to experience their culture, but I'm also excuse you. But I'm also not in that culture. Like I'm going there to like look at temples and eat the food and do all these touristy things. What you've gone to do is very different from like being a tourist. So like, is there like an agenda? Like, is there an itinerary? Sorry, like, is there something where like you have to like check off all these things, and more like I wake up and I feel like doing this today? Like, what's the process when you're there?
So the actual official kind of timeline of Hajj is quite specific. I won't go in great detail, but to keep it kind of simple, like there are certain practices you do on different days. And the aim of the game really, again, overarching thing, worship the Creator, recognizing that this was something that Allah had, bestowed upon us, and the Prophet has commanded us to do as well in regards to fulfilling the fifth pillar, right? So the benefit, I think, of Hajj, or at least the ones that I really connected with, was being able to kind of connect something tangible with something that was once intangible, if that makes sense. So like I've always find that a lot of people struggle with faith is believing in the unseen, right?
Yeah.
Having faith in a creator that you can't physically see, you can't touch, you've just read about it, and you have like an internal belief that higher being exists, right? So when you have the Quran and the Hadith and they talk about certain stories, certain structures, certain prophets, right? Again, you weren't there, right?
Yeah.
So again, you're just kind of like, all right, so I'm just meant to just believe this, right? And it does take a lot of faith just to blindly follow. And to be honest, a lot of people do, and that's amazing. And I think Hajj in a certain way allows for people where maybe that may not necessarily be enough to go to Saudi Arabia and see the Kaaba, right? And so in Mecca, there's the Kaaba or Masjid al-Haram, which is where kind of everyone goes to initially, right? So it's essentially a mosque that was built, or a place of worship that was built by Ibrahim and his son Ishmael, right? So it's from my understanding, it's the first ever monotheistic place of worship, right? So that's where it all started. So when people used to idol worship, sun and Ra, all these things, worship all these different things.
Yeah.
This is where like, no. The prophets came out and just said, hey, look, received revelation. This is all wrong. Your idols don't help you. The sun God doesn't exist, but there is one true God, overarching everything, stands alone, does not need anyone. And that's where the Kaaba kind of got built, or Masjid al-Haram. So seeing that kind of goes, all right, well, this is, this solidifies, okay, that part of the story is a thing, right? Like it exists, I can see it. There are photos dating as far back as photos exist, drawings, etc.
Which is incredible, by the way. Like, that's amazing that something that old like stood the test of time and still stays to this day.
100%. And obviously it's gone through slight adjustments and changes, but the main foundations of it remain the same. And so the really cool thing is, even in Saudi Arabia, just to go slightly off topic, they have like these kind of like Islamic history museums, if that's worded remotely correct. But essentially, like the Kaaba is draped over with this essentially like black. I'm using the wrong terminology here, so forgive me. But it's like a black cloth. It's got like Quranic inscriptions on it, and verses. And so after every several amount of years, they change this cloth. So some of these museums actually have the ones dating back like hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And that in itself.
So what's underneath the cloth?
It's just a building.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like the masjid itself or the mosque.
Yeah.
But like it's just draped over to kind of keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in order to keep it kind of as preserved as possible.
And do people go, like, can people go in there? Like, is there anyone, like, alive that's authorized to be in there?
Yeah, like at the
so
end of the
people
day,
have seen the inside of it. Like, just, it's
it,
not an everyday, like, you couldn't just go off the street and walk in there.
No, but like, I would, like, to my understanding, like the imam or the person leading the prayer and stuff like that, they've entered it. And it's, in regards to entering it, anyone can technically enter it, but the logistics of it is hard.
Yeah.
900,000 people or 3 to 4 million people trying to get into it's quite literally a large room.
Yeah.
On the inside.
Yeah. It doesn't look like the mosque that I'm like used to seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, entering the actual boundaries of the mosque, you're technically you are in the masjid, right?
Yeah.
It's just at the center of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So, and that's also, as a little fun fact, when you see a Muslim praying, we're all praying towards that Kaaba.
Yeah.
So, and the main purpose for that is purely unity. It's not like
you're all looking to one direction.
Correctly.
Yep.
And so I guess the idea is because some people go, oh, like, do you worship it? It's like, no. This is just purely we're a team and this is the way we pray.
Yeah.
So how do we get onto this?
We were just talking about like the itinerary, like what you would do for the day, and this where you were talking about. This was essentially the main thing.
Yes, so connecting you to kind of things that you've read, and then now seeing it with your eyes.
Yeah,
and so we go there and perform something called Umrah. So that's kind of going to that masjid, doing certain rituals, and essentially it's all centered around remembering your Creator and kind of making dua, which is like supplications, which I guess it's kind of comparable to like when we talk about Christians praying, or essentially just having a dialogue with your Creator and going, whether it be asking for health, forgiveness, certain things in life, or the afterlife. It's just, again, reconnecting that connection and being more God conscious and kind of really feeding that growth. And part of that Umrah process is kind of there's a ritual. It's essentially run between two mountains, Safa and Marwa. So, and this particular ritual or this practice, right, is making reference to when the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was he left his wife and his son Ishmael in the desert, and she's like, "What are you doing? You're like leaving us in the desert, right?" He's like, "You'll be safe here. I'll be back," kind of more or less, just to keep it really general. And obviously in the desert, it's hot. You look for water. She couldn't find water. So in the Quran, essentially, the story goes, she starts looking for water. She can't find water. So she runs between these two mountains looking for water. So essentially she's running between the two peaks looking for like a valley, signs of a date tree that could, show signs of water underneath the ground. Anything, right? Any signs of kind of nutrients. And so while she's doing that, Ishmael starts banging on the ground, right? As he's banging on the ground, water starts to rise from the ground. And so the water starts gushing out from the ground. And so she runs up to the water and she starts saying, Zam, 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 which means stop, because the water's so plentiful. And so that actual well still exists today.
Wow.
And that well produces a ridiculous volume of water till this day.
To this day.
Yeah. And it's in the middle of the desert.
Wow.
And this water is molecularly different. Like the molecules of this water is actually different to the molecules of like any other water in the world.
The water's been studied?
This is the thing. There's a couple different journal articles that I've read.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I haven't done anything extensive. But what I've read, right, is that if you were to take a drop of Zamzam water, put it in like let's just say this bottle.
Yeah.
It will change the molecular formation of all the other water
around it. Oh, like in the
container, within the container, and have it all the same. Like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty nutty.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And the water does taste different. Like the pH level is completely different.
Oh my gosh.
And it's weird because it's like, and it's one of those things you kind of have to try for yourself. But like,
yeah.
There were days like I don't really like to eat quite a bit throughout the day, but I would drink that water and feel sustained
for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and look, it could be a placebo. Who knows? But what I'm going to say is that it's very, very filling, very refreshing. And like a Islamic belief is if you drink it with intention, you make a dua or you make like a prayer supplication, then like I guess it's, I don't know if I'd want to go as far as call it holy water, but it definitely has its place in Islam.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you know? Have there been any studies or anything that you've read? Does that water turn up anywhere else, like in the world?
Not that I'm aware of.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah, and like,
where would it come from?
Exactly.
It's like literally like a miracle. Like there's the story is here, and like whether you believe the story or not is a different thing. But the well exists and the water is there, and it's different. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's what can be one of the many things that solidify your faith.
Yeah,
because it's like you can't even be like, oh, okay, well, it's a tropical country, it's natural, there's gonna be water, but it's in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it
supplies water for the 3 million pilgrims pre-COVID. The water gets exported worldwide, and the supply hasn't run out. Like, it's a well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because you can't be hiding a like a factory that's cleaning tap water and export at that rate without it being exposed.
Yeah.
Especially like when people are out here wanting to expose religions in general.
Yeah. Like that would be the easiest sort of thing to target.
100%. So, and that was one of the other things that, was really cool to kind of, you can get Zamzam water here, but it just hits different when you're actually there in the city.
Yeah, for sure.
doing kind of the practices that you read up about.
Yeah, it'd definitely be a whole bunch of like the experience that would add to it as well, like being there, the atmosphere, the people, like what the reason that you're there, that would all add into making it, I guess, feel different than just like getting it here at like a local wherever.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure if I like clarified this, but essentially, so based off that story, we literally do the same thing. So we run back and forth as if we were the Prophet Ibrahim's wife.
Yep.
And it's literally purely to kind of connect stronger with the stories yeah. And then after we drink the water, and yeah, it's just it's a goosebump experience.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Something so simple, but again, it's like you get these little kind of Easter eggs throughout the Quran, like and that kind of, like I said, kind of connects everything together.
That's so cool. It's and it's not something that's like unheard of in other like religions, like, you know, like as far as like Christianity, like Jesus had bread and fish and made it into many for the people. It sounds like that same sort of thing where like a drop of the water will change all of the water, like to purify and sustain you.
Yeah,
it's I'm actually like really amazed by that it's the only place, it's a well, and it's like the only place that, like, well, as far as this table is concerned, that we're aware of in the world that has it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's scientifically proven, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, not necessarily that it's the only one there, but that its molecular structure can essentially influence the surrounding molecules.
Yeah.
It's pretty nutty.
Man, that's why I find, like, Islam so interesting. All this stuff is, like, they like, the people love to, like, fact check it all. It's like, well, you can try use this against us, but like, there's nothing that we haven't heard of before, and we've gone and done our own research, and we know for a fact that this is true.
Yeah,
that's why I'm always interested in. Oh, sorry, I've left it on the bloody table. That's why I'm always so interested in the religion. I think like everyone's so like level headed and not only open minded, but strong in their conviction. Like they know for it. Like, so no, we know it because we've checked it. Like, essentially.
And I think, honestly, we have the West to thank a lot for that. Only because, obviously, going through, like, the 9/11 era where, like, maybe people had a very strong perception of Islam due to media representation, etc., we were questioned a lot. You know, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why are you like this? Why are you like that?
Which is really weird.
Why do you dress like that? You know? Like, people have a problem with hijab, but they're okay with nuns. But, like, there's a clear reason for hijab. You know, it's like, not to go too off topic, but it's like the value of women.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's like, someone's like, man, the value of women isn't to be sexualized, it's because of her intellect. You know what I mean? It's because, you know, what's in here and not what's, you know, below that. You know, it's to keep people's respect for women in a particular way. Not to say that people, obviously, who don't dress modestly don't deserve that same level of respect. But as humans, we have, like, an innate biological attraction for one another, and to kind of guide that in a way where you're more focused on the intellect is not necessarily a bad thing, right?
No, not at all.
But yeah, there's all these misconceptions, and of course, you know, they just need to be clarified. So therefore, I think we've kind of grown up and, you know, in recent years needing to defend ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully in a healthy manner, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely in recent years. Like, it's crazy that, like, a lot of people still to this day will, like, demonize Islam when, like, no other religion really gets demonized like that, and there's plenty out there that we could, but like no one tries to. It's always trying to do it to Muslims, or from what I see.
Well, yeah, if you think about things like the Westboro Baptist Church, right?
Yeah,
so, like, people aren't out here trying to vilify the religion as a whole. It's just, those are just bad people.
Just those people.
That's just a bad sect.
Yep.
So why do Muslims get such a bad rap?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to cop any shade from you guys, but like, even like Catholics, like, there's, you know, we all know the stigma around those guys, and like their practices and priests and so forth, and I mean, no one's like really trying to go after those guys.
Like, you don't see any Catholic church like on a watch list, on an FBI watch list.
Yeah, they're also like funded by governments and stuff, right? Is Islam funded by like governments? Like,
I'll be honest, I have no idea.
No idea.
No idea.
Just wondering. I know LDS is not, like they're all like self-funded. So I wonder if it's the same thing.
Tithing.
Yeah, through tithing but all religions have like tithing. Like when people like are like, oh, you have to pay 10%. I was like, you all do. It's like in the book that you follow.
But like, see, this is one of the things that struck me. Like, so you were saying one of your pillars is charity, right? And yeah, I know we've spoken about this before, because that's what I was saying in Mormonism. Like, yeah, they have the tithing, which is 10% of your paycheck basically going straight to the church. But with you guys, like when you say charity, it's like, I know you were saying that they try to encourage you to donate to like your community and stuff like that, rather than the actual mosque itself.
Well,
like,
yeah. So like, you're encouraged to donate to the mosque, but there's no compulsion.
Yeah.
Right. Like at the end of the day, it's kind of like the reward is there. Do you want it or do you not? Like, and it's, again, it's like you make the choice, and you can be accountable for your choice. Like, but there's no punishment for not giving to the mosque, right? But like when we talk about like certain kind of like in regards to like, for example, the pillars, every year you have what's called Zakat Mal, which is like kind of like a charity based off your income, right? It's about 2.5% of your compounded savings between 1 year and the next. You don't necessarily, you give that to those in need. And to be completely transparent, it's meant to be those in need who are Muslim, right? Yeah. But the premise is, at the end of the day, if each Muslim gives charity to their respective Muslim, eventually there'll be no Muslims that need money. Therefore, the money will have to spill over elsewhere.
That it's more like looking after the brothers and sisters of your faith, right? Which is like not a bad thing. Like that's not like you give charity all year round to like everyone else. If this specific thing is to help your brothers and sisters in faith, then that doesn't seem like a crazy thing to be questioned.
But no, and also at the same time, it's like, I guess when you're making the assumption that people are trying to strive to be the best they can, it's not going to be money or charity that gets wasted on alcohol or drugs or gambling, because they're all forbidden in Islam, right? So it also kind of helps foster that type of investment, per se, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of a peace of mind that
100%.
What you've given it for is for a good reason.
Yeah.
Man, I could literally talk about this all day. It's so interesting to me. What was it like leaving?
Oof. That's a good question.
Because like obviously you're in this like this really spiritual state, right? Like you're around all these like-minded people, you're all there for the same reason, the atmosphere is different, like everything must feel like real, like at peace. And then you have to now live in the world and like obviously try to live in the world, not be of the world. So how does that feel, like going from this sort of safe space for like this is the ideal person you want to be, right? Like all year round you would ideally like to be like this, and now you're taking out and putting it into the world where everything is different.
It's pretty sad.
It's
sad to leave.
Wow. Like a sense of mourning almost?
Yeah. Like, I think, like, imagine when you're laying at night and you're kind of thinking of the way that you want to be as an individual, right? And then you're literally, technically, like, at the end of the day, you're actively choosing to leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing stopping you from packing up and living there, like, to be honest.
Wow.
But, like, the reality, like, and the really amazing thing is, like, in Islam, like, if Allah accepts your Hajj pilgrimage, all your sins are wiped. You start clean.
That's really cool.
But with that comes a certain level of pressure.
Yeah.
Because then you come back home and you're just like, damn, like I've got an amazing opportunity here. And like obviously some people, again, short-minded, they go, oh, I've done my Hajj, I'm guaranteed clean slate. I don't know if mine was accepted. I won't know until I'm dead and I have that one-on-one with my creator where he goes, this is what you've done and this is what you haven't done. This is the good. This is the bad. I'll find out then. There's no guaranteed.
Yeah.
But if my intention was pure, then, inshallah, God willing, my Hajj was accepted. But when you spend 1 month and prove to yourself, I can be patient, I can be kind, I can not engage in arguments, I can diffuse situations, I can be giving, all these things, right? And I can pray my 5 daily prayers, even the one, for dawn, Like, I can do all these things without fault. You're kind of a little scared that you're going to slip.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like
there's
someone
a lot of pressure there.
Yeah. And there's no external pressure either. Like, you're not, seeing a sports bet ad, or you're not walking past a bar, or you're not seeing a strip club. Not that, I'll be honest with you, none of that stuff personally interest me at all.
Yeah.
I'm quite lucky that I was raised in a way where I'm wired to not really be remotely interested, and alhamdulillah, very thankful that I have that mentality. But still, there's it's almost like the devil on your shoulder doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so liberating, and everyone else is with that mentality. Like, we're here, I guess, not when I say here, I mean like in general, when you're outside those boundaries of the miqat, right? Where people aren't bound by those same rules. You can see something bad and they might encourage you to do it. Where there, it's very different. It's like, oh, bro, remember, you're Hajji, or you're performing a Hajj, like, bro, like, sort yourself out. And then, you thank them. There's no egos, there's no pride. So, like, it's like, and it's funny because I actually haven't really reflected on it before, but it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Like, because you kind of go, you almost feel almost a little bad because you're just like, am I now kind of preferring kind of my worldly things?
Yeah.
Really is the bottom line, But at the same time, you try not to get too caught up. And again, it's like finding that nice equilibrium and kind of going, I've proven that I can be those things.
Yeah.
So now I'll just be consistent. And now this is a point of reflection and a reference tool.
Yeah.
So when you have that self-doubt, be like, no. For a month, I did this.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. It's just me making the choice to not do it.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, like you could, like you said, there's nothing to stop you from like leaving there. You could have stayed there, but also that does sort of seem like a crutch. Like it's amazing that you get this experience and you get to be here, and you feel like this is the closest place to God you can be. But also like that's not the way the world works. You have like a job and obligations and stuff, and so to leave there, coming back to home, and then living your life the way that you would have there, but here, it's definitely a lot harder. But I feel like there's more reward in that. Like it would be a crutch to just stay there and be in that atmosphere. If you can do that outside of it, if you can do that here, then you're winning.
And it's funny, I'm going to use a word that people kind of get a little bit weird when they hear in the news, right? It's my jihad. And they're like, what the hell, jihad? That's like a terrorist group, right? It's like, no, jihad actually is essentially describing struggle. When we say struggle, we don't mean it in an extremist way. That's just silly.
Yeah.
We mean it in the way of like, for example, you try to maybe do extra prayers throughout the day, but you can't because you've got work. Why? Because you have obligations. Why? Because you need to look after your family. So you get rewarded for that. There are certain obligations and responsibilities you have to, if you have a wife, you got kids, you got mum, dad, cousins, sisters, whatever. That's your jihad. And that's something that we also learn in Islam is like, again, it's like, yes, if your intention is if I wasn't here, I'd be doing this. And again, the Creator knows deep down your genuine intention. Yeah. Then it's as if you've already done it. So it's the Creator is the most understanding, the all-knowing, so it's I think that's what kind of gives me peace coming back. It's like at the end of the day, there are certain kind of choices we make for the betterment of either our kids or future kids. Yep. And if your intentions are genuine, then you'll get rewarded accordingly, and that takes a lot of that anxiety away.
That's really cool. Just to go back to that, so jihad, that's like your like trials and tribulations. It's like almost saying like that's your cross to bear.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to understand it more.
It's like struggle in a very general sense in life.
Yeah. Yeah, like this is my struggle.
Yeah. Like
this is my story.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. I like at the end of the day, I'm by no means like a religious figure, but like to my kind of general understanding, I would kind of somewhat agree with that.
I just think languages are really interesting. And English is very limited in what you can say, really. Like there's not many, like it seems like there are, but there's not many descriptive words, right? There's a lot of other languages that like have so many ways to describe like one thing. Yeah. Whereas like English is very limited where you've only got the one. So I'm just trying to more understand that from an English perspective. Arabic's a really cool language. That's Arabic,
super
right?
Super complex, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it, yeah.
It's very specific though, that's the thing.
That's what I think is cool about it. Like you can be specific with the words that you use and like what they mean, and in English it's like almost very broad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So a lot of people
they can be taken any way.
Yeah, so like for example, like the Quran it's only in Arabic. Like there are translations.
Yep.
but it's still with the big preface that like, hey, it's good that you've read this, but this isn't the real Quran. Right?
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know if you guys know, but the Quran isn't. It's a transliteration. It's the word of God written down. So like the verses of the Quran were recited to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and someone dictated it down.
Yep.
And it wasn't the Prophet Muhammad that read it because he was illiterate. So and that's one of the cool things is that no one could be like, oh, he wrote it. He could not write or read.
Yep. That's
He memorized it, the entire whole thing.
That is very interesting. Because I have heard that before, but also like it's interesting because it's the same as like the golden plate, Sean, like in the LDS faith. They say that Joseph Smith, the first prophet that like bring the word of God like out, they were performed on like it was from golden plates, but no one saw the golden plates.
Yeah,
and he would read these from the golden plates, and he would have to have someone to write them because he was also like he wasn't a scholar or anything either. Well, he wasn't a learned man, and so he would read this because it was written in a language that they obviously didn't understand. He would like translate it, and this person would write it down. But that's sort of what that sounds like as well. Like the same thing. Like he got this knowledge and said it to someone had to write it down. Oh man. That's almost been an hour we've been talking.
True.
Yeah. But like after I cut it up, it's not going to be.
That's not good.
Wow. Anyway,
like
on that point, no, it just like that's very cool. Like that's why I say there are definitely similarities between like these two religions, but like the similarities I draw are more like the way that the people hold themselves, the love for one another, and the love for like humanity, and just trying to be the best version of yourself. Like all of like the teachings and stuff, pretty much alluding to that and being like very family based and family oriented, those kind of things. That's why I really love the religions. I think they're both sort of like they go hand in hand almost, for lack of a better word, because I only speak English. I'm gonna restart this camera. Sorry guys, I need to get a better way of like filming. My camera always stops and I have to restart it. That's why the episode's only like an hour long. Man, this is so cool. Like it's so cool that you went and did something that not a lot of people would do. Like, I mean, like I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that probably thinks like, oh, well, that's silly. Why would you go like take time out of your life to go do that when you could be doing like that's a whole month you could have been spent doing something worthwhile. How is it being Muslim in the world, like, and also trying to be like a devout Muslim in the world?
What a question.
No, especially like how we've been talking about, like what we were saying. Australia is not a country that like. There's no real like culture in Australia. Like I feel like the culture is now starting to be.
You.
Shut up. I feel like the culture now in Australia is starting to be like it's starting to like lay itself out, right? Like there is like a culture here now. Like 10, 20 years ago, if you were brown, you're from New Zealand. And or like go back to your country. And now like there are island, like because we're Pacific Islanders, so this is how we can most relate. Now you can be a Pacific Islander, you can love your country, but also you can say that you are Australian here. Whereas before, 10, 20 years ago, like people wouldn't let you do that. They'd be like, no, you're not. Like, you're not Australian.
Yeah.
But like now it's more widely accepted. So I feel like there is like a culture that's starting to be carved out now, but like religion's definitely not part of it. And there's still a lot of people that don't really respect religion. So like, how does it feel trying to like be devout in a society that doesn't really put value on that?
Big question. So I'm gonna ask that we try to deconstruct it a little, right?
Do whatever you want with it.
I think for me the first thing that kind of piqued my interest when you said, you know, people's curiosity was like, why would you do that? You know, why wouldn't you do something that's more worthwhile, right? What is worthwhile? How would you define worthwhile? So like when we, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
like,
right.
Because when people go a trip that's worthwhile, are we talking about a trip that offers you a short-term happiness and long-term you're just looking at photos and offers you nothing in the grand scheme of your life? Or like for me, like I look at my trip, you know, and like I'm very flattered that you would call me a devout Muslim, and I don't really know what that means.
Well, I mean
right?
more, yeah.
And I say this purely because respectfully, who am I or who are you to judge who's a devout Muslim, right? You know, I think the overarching thing to always remember is like only God can judge, quite literally, right? So, I hope that on the day of judgment, I'm considered a devout Muslim, and that carries me through well. But I think for me, like when we do these holidays, you know, or trips or pilgrimages, what do we gain? Like what I've gained from that month, I think I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. You know, it's like I said, it's like when you have certain levels of self-doubt, it's a point of reference for me. You know, when you say, oh, can I do this? Can I not do this? Can I get out of this dark moment mentally? Can I not? You kind of, you know, whatever it is, it's kind of like a point of like, now we're good.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's priceless. You know, how many trips can people say that they can go on, and then that will leave a long-lasting. Like you go on a trip, let's just say, like I would love Japan. I will never forget how good the sushi and the ramen is there. But how does that really benefit me? Do you know what I mean? It's cool for a story, but as an individual for growth, maybe I know a little bit more about the culture. But again, as an individual, it doesn't really offer much for personal growth. Yeah. And I think that's where I think currently people look for more superficial appreciation or kind of more of like a, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can kind of convey this correctly due to my limited ability to kind of explain things, but like I guess what are you getting from your holidays, and is your trip worthwhile? Yeah, that's how I'd kind of almost be like, what is what you're doing fulfilling?
Well, that's it. Like it's entirely subjective, right? Because like
for sure,
you know, obviously for you it was like a very spiritual thing, and as you said, you'll
remember it forever.
Yeah, you'll carry that for the rest of your life. And to your point, you know, you go to Japan, you remember like the sushi, the ramen, and all that, but it doesn't have like a huge lasting effect on you. Whereas for someone else, it might completely change their life. They might suddenly fall in love with sushi and the art of it, and try to, you know, follow that for the rest of their life and try to become a chef or something like that.
That's true.
So
that's
like
very true.
Being like worthwhile is entirely subjective to the person.
100%.
It's not really a fair question to ask.
Well, that's also what I meant by the question. Like I was saying before, like English is a limited language. Like I'm just trying to like it was a broad question that most people would ask. So
I know what you meant by the question. I was more so I was like, oh, I'm gonna attack this point because like
no, it's cool.
It's very thought provoking.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're right. It depends on the person. What is worthwhile? I think for most people like that live sort of within the world, I'm sure like what's worthwhile is building your career or saving up money for like a home or trying to, you know, set your life up to be as comfortable as possible so you can do things later on. Like to that effect, most people would think like, oh, well, to take a month out to literally do nothing, why would I do that? But it's not. You're obviously going to do something that is going to benefit your life immensely.
Yeah, it's like investing in yourself. So, and what was the rest of the question? Oh, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, also I just think like the devout part. I don't know what it is either. I would assume, which like I'm sure most people would assume, a devout Muslim would be someone who tries their very hardest to follow the teachings, pray every day, like do those, like try to reach those 5 pillars. That's what I would assume.
Yeah, I think for me, I try to, and again, I genuinely appreciate that kind of, you calling me devout, but I think it's kind of like, I hear people nowadays go, oh, this guy's Muslim by name, or he's a moderate Muslim, or this guy's extremist. It's like, no, we're just Muslim. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, where we sit on the scale, again, that's not up to me to decide, it's not up to anyone to decide. And because at the end of the day, like, there could be like, people will talk about seasonal Muslims, right? Like the month of Ramadan, really holy month. Yeah. People like during that month, they'll stop drinking, they'll stop going to the clubs, doing this thing. But and that 1 month, he could be more sincere than my whole lifetime. You know. So then who's technically higher up in the ladder? You know. And that's the thing. It's like it's just Muslim.
Also, to be fair, I don't really classify. I feel like there's no ladder. Like at least there shouldn't be a ladder.
But I guess when you say like devout, right? It's essentially you're putting someone on a certain pedestal or like a certain rank. Does that
that's true. Yeah, no, you're right. I never really thought about it like that. I think, oh well, maybe I guess I did, because like from asking the question, that sort of, you know what I mean? Asking the question, that sort of does. I think I've just unraveled something about myself.
There you go.
Well, it is very weird because, like, growing up at the church, we've seen a lot of
Devout.
Yeah, devout, and we've also seen a lot of, like, day a week
Undevout.
day a week Christians. People that will literally go out Saturday night and then come to church the next day.
Oh, dude,
like it was
and
nothing.
preach
Like nothing
to
happened.
you like they know better than you.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's part of the problem that I have with religion.
that's a big part of the reason why I left.
Oh wait, whoa, exclusive.
Not exclusive. I've said this from the start. Just the general hypocrisy was a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
And over time, it just not because of that. Over time, I just stopped believing in things. For anyone that doesn't know, I am an atheist, which is why I'm just sitting here silently listening, because it's very interesting to me, and like we've had talks about your religion before, and
Also, for anyone that doesn't know, which is probably everyone, Sean and Seth are like best friends.
Tight like bum cheeks. He may disagree, but deep down he knows.
many years. What, 17 years now? Is that math?
Nah, your quick math is off, bro. 15.
15?
Yeah, 6, 7. End of 6, early 7.
I don't know why I thought 5. Yeah, 6.
No, definitely not year 5.
Yeah.
I was still in the north side.
Definitely year 5. I hated you in year 5.
Yeah, 5 is when
Life was so
we
good in year
moved
5.
over there.
Oh.
2005 is when we moved over there.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like year 5.
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah, year
so
5.
did you?
Well,
year
same
5
for
for
us.
me.
It's no different.
2005.
2005, that links up?
Yeah, because
We graduated
95
2012.
babies, bro. So 2005 is year 5. 2006, year 6. We graduated 2012.
Yeah, no, 2005 was when we moved.
Huh?
To Mum's house.
Oh.
That's the year we moved there.
I thought you meant like overseas. I was like, no.
No. That was 2003.
Not true.
No, I just don't want to put the addy out there.
Fair enough. Yeah. We find often in like religion, there's people that like, I guess like I would classify as like devout. But yeah, I guess like thinking about it now, that's not it's not really fair.
It's not, because you do have people that, like,
Trying their hardest and
That-
because they don't.
you've got
some
people
other
that like
things.
you would call devout, right? Because they practice every day, but then they're also very holier than thou.
Yes.
They know better. They are better than you.
Yes.
And that's not a fair thing to say, because then you've got people that will go one day a week and like, they're generally just better people.
Yeah, that's what I find weird about religion is that like it doesn't all link up.
No.
Like for me personally, like some people are like just genuinely good people, and I think like, man, these guys do some things that like in my religion are considered like big
Taboo.
sins. Yeah, things that you can't do. But
no.
but these people are like beautiful people, beautiful souls, and like why do we like? Why are we so quick to judge these people?
But again, it comes back, who are we to judge? Right? Like at the end of the day, like as people, like if you believe in like God and the Creator and Judgment Day, then it's like let everyone do their role and just be like focused on yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing. It's just hard.
Yeah.
As humans, we have pride, we have ego, and that's not shock horror.
Yeah.
It's but I guess probably one of the harder tests is to control that, right?
So I always wonder about that, right? Like, not to obviously generalize, but Jehovah's Witnesses have a pretty big reputation for being super pushy. So I've always wondered, is that like a pride or an ego thing? Like, oh, my religion's the right one, so fucking get on board. Or like, I always make the joke, like, is there some like referral program that they get like,
It's like Amway.
yeah,
You get more wives in heaven.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that
you get a bigger mansion.
Bro, it's heaven. You can ask for whatever you want in heaven.
Well, there are like unlimited resources. I'm just wondering. I don't know.
Bro, it's paradise. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't
like-
you?
Surely that's got to be, like you said, like a pride and an ego thing, right? Like, yeah, my religion is the right one, so why aren't you all
From my
following it?
experience with J-Dubs, like in particular, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because they are very like closed off, I guess, in the sense that like, they can't they don't generally fraternize with like
there are compounds
other
for them
people
to live together and stuff.
yeah,
right?
yeah, and like
I
you've
know
got
what you
to
mean.
you've got to marry another person of the faith, and like you can't even date anyone outside of it, and like things like that.
No, I actually never have dived into that religion like too heavily. I wonder. I should.
I only know because I used to have a crush on a girl that was a J-dub.
Oh, is she trying to convert you?
No.
And that's why you're atheist?
No, just
What's her name?
He's halfway there.
I freaking beat her.
No, this was years ago. This was primary school, bro.
No, but to be honest, like wanting to like live in a compound or marry people of the same faith, I don't actually see that as a problem.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong
Like,
with it. I know.
I think the
Oh, you don't find that very culty?
nah, not really. It depends if they
Yeah,
can
you
freely come
wouldn't.
and go.
You
It's
wouldn't.
different, right? Like, shut up. Who invited this guy? Whose podcast is this? But
Well, it's a collective, but like you wouldn't know it.
good answer. Nah, I wouldn't.
No, not you. Like just you wouldn't. Like the general person wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to tell because like the other quarter don't do anything.
Anyways, let's just navigate away from that. But yeah, look, I'll be honest. I personally don't really have much interactions with people of that particular faith. But and I'll probably, just to be the really boring one, I'll probably try to avoid generalizing, because I guess unfortunately with all faiths, as we kind of discussed previously, you just tend to interact with the ones that are the loudest, right?
Yeah.
So, but I guess like just as a contrast, I guess in Islam, it's like we don't really have anything like missionary. For us, it's like we have what's called dawah, which is like essentially spreading the religion through means of just like being a good Muslim. Like at the end of the day, when people, hopefully, when they might go, oh, Seth, yeah, that's a really nice guy. Yeah, oh, what does he do? He does this, that. Oh, he's a Muslim. Oh, wow, that's really cool. And that kind of ignites the interest, which ironically enough, possibly, one of these things where like, maybe that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like it's because we've been able to have a really constructive conversation in the past, and hopefully in the future. Doesn't mean I'm out here trying to make out Muslim, but like it still spreads the faith, and hopefully in the way it should be, right? And at the end of the day, if I feel like my faith is the right one, then it's very much a matter of, bro, it's pretty good. You can either have it, and if you don't want it, that's up to you. Like, at the end of the day, if I got a really nice cheesecake, I'm not going to force feed you, but I'm going to ask you once, I'll ask you twice nicely, and if you come back and want a piece, I'll give it to you, but I'm not going to force it down your throat.
You know what's funny?
Stuff that, I want the cheesecake.
That's exactly what I thought when you said that. I was like, yeah, if I have a good piece of cake, you can have it.
Yeah, but it's like, and I'm not saying that, obviously for the other faiths that maybe are a bit more like keen to pass it on, that, they don't have a nice cheesecake, they're all good cheesecakes, but that's just how I see it. And honestly, it's somewhat kind of the Islamic kind of way of thinking. It's like, Allah doesn't need you. God doesn't need you. God created you. So like, at the end of the day, like, that's on you. If you've been given the tools to seek out a faith that makes sense and ticks all the boxes, you like, come Judgment Day, like, you got real no excuse.
Yeah.
Everyone's accountable for their choices.
That's so true. Like, and it's a good way to be for like most people. Most people should take notes. Like, that's how you should act around people. Like, I know I've definitely been like told and made to feel like if you're not trying to pass on like the knowledge that you have, you're gonna be judged poorly for it. Like if you don't pass on the knowledge that that God exists and God is real, and you're not trying to like actively help people do it, you're just as bad as people that are sinning. That's how I've been made to feel, and it was what I've heard. So that's like, yeah, that's everyone should be acting like how Muslims act. Like,
Damn.
Just
well, I feel like
consistency,
anyway,
right?
yeah, like
just I mean, like, we have
like you've got the gift, and that's cool. And if people don't want to take it from you, you shouldn't be judged for it.
yeah.
At the end of the day, like, religions at their core, or at least the ones that I've come across, they tend to foster just being a good human.
Yeah.
Right? There's obviously more to it, but I think at the end of the day, if we just kind of focus on ourselves, funnily enough,
Yeah.
and worry about other people, then we'd be all sweet.
Yeah. Generally, religion is an awesome idea, I think. As an idea, like, you are trying to be the best possible human being. Like, when people knock the Bible and stuff and say, oh, well, like, you guys are all stupid for believing this book that was written like so many thousands of years ago. It's like, dude, like, what's the problem with someone trying to be a good person? Like, why do you care so much about, like, why are you hung up on the details? If someone's trying to be a good person, if you don't believe, that's cool. But like, don't try to disprove people at every point just because you have issue with it. What's the problem with these people trying to be good people?
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's the thing, right? It's like even like when we look at science, right? There's all these like theories in science that get essentially kicked out after a couple of years because we're like, oh wait, that's wrong, right? Like people always forget science is just theory.
Yeah,
it's not fact. In some cases, it's fact, but in a lot of the worldly sense things, it's all theoretical.
Yeah, half the things aren't proven.
Exactly. And like at the end of the day, like I guess sometimes for me as well, it's like I look at religion and I go, okay, well, you know, this is what Islam teaches me, and you know, it makes sense a lot. Like 99.999% of things, there's always a reasoning for it, and so for me, that keeps me content. But like, let's just say hypothetically, I'm wrong, right? If I die, I lived a life where I would consider myself trying to be the best person that I can be, right? So I'm not losing anything.
Yeah.
And then if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, then I'll die, you know, hopefully as a relatively good person. And if I'm right, well then I'm winning. Like it's a win-win for me.
Yeah.
Like whereas like if you don't explore that pathway, it's like, well, it could be win, but it could also be lose. But it's like by believing in God and you know, and I'm not necessarily saying this for people to, you know, just stick to, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, I'd love it if everyone was Muslim, right? Because I genuinely believe that that's the way we should all be living, right? I'm not gonna pretend otherwise, but I still think people should just invest some time. Like it's just like play that what if card, and are you genuinely okay to deal with the consequences?
Yeah.
And if you just give it a loosely no, then I kind of worry a little bit. Only because I think it's a pretty big gamble.
Yeah. Man, I think moral of the story, guys, like doesn't matter what religion you are anyway, just be a good fucking person.
100%.
Like let's just all be good people. You could disagree with like certain aspects of whatever faith it is, but let's all just try to be kind to each other and be good fucking people, because that's what kind of makes the world go round, right? That and the Illuminati. No. Oh, sorry.
All the rich people owning parts of the highways that we found out. They run the world.
I'm cutting it off here. But we can totally do like a conspiracy theory fucking podcast and shit. That would be cool. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below if you want us to do like conspiracy theories or just like fucking random fun shit we can talk about. Because the highway one blew our minds today.
I'll laugh if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Nah, you're probably fucking wrong. I don't believe you.
Yeah. What'd you say before? Kindness to one another?
No, just people that you don't really know. People that you know it's okay to
okay. All right. Yeah.
No, this is my love language. It's like shitting on the people I love. It keeps them humble.
Damn, that's hella toxic.
Is it?
I don't...
I'll find out one day. Anyway, bro, thank you for coming on and sharing your experience.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. It was like we were just as interested to hear it. So, thank you. Is there anything you want to promote? Your doctor's practice or?
Don't have one, so I got nothing to promote. But,
well, when you open up your own doctor's practice, you let us know, and then you can stop Medicare yourself.
The anti-Medicare.
Huh?
Anyways, I got... No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, nah. Honestly, I'm pretty good, guys, to promote. It's like I'm out here promoting a brand deal. No, honestly, it's been a pleasure being on this podcast. I think it's a bit of an honor to be given the privilege to kind of just have a chat and just be given the platform to have, just talk my inner thoughts, and thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you, bro. This podcast was made for us to just have a chat and just to hopefully people can take whatever they want from it, but just to be a fly on the wall and just to feel like they're part of the conversation. So, guys, I hope you took something from the podcast. And let us know. Let us know if you want us to do more stuff like this. I'm definitely keen to do more stuff like this. It's also like sort of the first time asking like thought-provoking questions. So let us know how we did. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the Nerdumb podcast. We appreciate you. Next week we'll probably be back to our regular scheduled manga dump or whatever the hell we do on this podcast. But thank you. We appreciate you. If you've listened this far, I'm the Sans, that's me.
I'm Sean.
I'm not Dr. Seth.
No, you're Dr. Anyway, catch you in the next one.
Later.
Later, boy.
Yo.